Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Talking Blue. I'm Matthew Mooney alongside Luke Langella. So in the last week, we've had some pretty big Giants news. I want to
Yeah,
talk to start out. Let's talk about the Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley contracts. Luke
yeah.
posted a
So
video. Oh,
yeah, we were some of the first to post it. We were checking it all the time. Daniel Jones 4 year, 160 million. I did post a little video that night. Matthew unfortunately couldn't make it, but we did explain a little bit in depth of what that contract means. How it's 82 million, only 19 million against the cap. So overall, I think it was a good the way they had to give him the money, and I think they executed the contract well. Do you agree, Matthew, how they executed the cap room part of the contract well? And then on the Saquon side, you now have the franchise tag, and since you gave him the franchise tag, it's a 10 million cap deduction, but you also have till July 15th if you want to extend him and give him a long-term deal. So that's some news, more news updates and stuff we're going to touch on. We're going to talk about the cornerback room today, the tight end situation. Obviously, Chicago Bears just traded to the Carolina Panthers, so that's definitely something on our bucket list to talk about. And then last thing is OBJ and Julian Love possible rumors. So let's start with Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. Matt, how do you feel about those contracts?
I'm thrilled because I'm glad they're back. They're two of my favorite players. So like my top three. Daniel Jones, 4 years, $160 million. Not a bad deal. He's getting 40 million per year. I think it's a little too much. I was hoping for like 35 or 36 million at least, or possibly even 38. But I'm fine with it. I want him back. He's like our franchise quarterback, and if they let
Yeah, I
him walk,
agree.
I would have been really upset.
And I think what they saw is like they knew they had to give him that money. And for on Daniel Jones' perspective, they're going to give him the money. You can't blame him for asking because that's what every quarterback's asking. And his agent was going to get his money and get Daniel's money, and that's the whole way it works these days. And then on the Saquon Barkley side, Saquon seems happy with this franchise tag, which always could be extended. So those are our guys right now. They took us to the playoffs last year. I feel like getting rid of them just would have been 10 steps back from where we are. I think we're a team that's an off-season away from really making some noise in the playoffs.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think giving Saquon the franchise tag was a good idea. I know I said this, and I probably said this in the last episode, but I heard he said in an interview if Daniel Jones gets extended, he wouldn't mind the franchise tag. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad he's
I
back.
just don't see him. I see him in 2 to 3 years left with the Giants. So I like the franchise tag because I think he's like now at the point of his career. After every year, you could evaluate him and say, do we continue with him? He's getting to that age as a running back. Their shelf lives are short, and he has had injuries, so he's at that point. I think the franchise tag is a perfect. Me personally, unless you're going to give him another year, I don't to extend him. I'm pretty satiated with the franchise tag. I wouldn't give him more than 2 years if you're going to extend it, though.
Yeah, I agree. Now I want to talk about the trade that took place today. This is like one of the only non-Giants topics we'll talk about. But
Yes.
yeah, Carolina got the first overall pick in the draft. They traded
DJ Moore.
Yes.
They got the first. They traded away the first overall pick, so now they have the 9th pick. They have first round picks, and next year they got a second round pick. They got a lot of value, to say the least.
Yeah, and also a second round pick in 2025.
Yeah. And to say who won the draft, you easily got to go with, in my opinion, the Bears won the draft.
Yeah, they fleeced easily.
They're getting an elite level receiver, and they can still snag whoever they really want. Justin Fields, your guy. Like, you could really get some. You still got a top 10 pick, and you have an elite level receiver to complement Justin Fields. I think they won that trade for sure.
I absolutely agree with you on there. That was probably the fleece of the century there, if you want to say that. But
because they've been looking for a receiver, and they've made it clear Justin Fields is their quarterback. So it made no sense for them to be top 3 unless you're going to go Will Anderson. So and they obviously don't see that as a position of need. So I think they executed that trade perfectly. I want to talk a little about something else. I know we just touched on that topic, but a comment Joe Schoen made that they're not looking to get minimal players anymore. The Giants looking to make some noise in free agency. There's a lot of positional needs. We'll touch more on tight end and cornerback. That could be touched on a little bit. But let's talk a little about some of the new rumors we're hearing around. Julian Love. Opinion, Matt. I know we believe differently. Are you bringing him back? They are negotiating. I've heard that he may be worth more than people expect. You give him the money, Matt.
Well, it depends. Like, obviously, how much he's asking for. Like,
Yeah.
I like Julian Love personally. I think he's overrated by Giants fans throughout the league. He's underrated, but
I agree. I agree with you on that point. Like, if he's asking for crazy money, I'll let him walk. I developed Dane Belton. He always take another safety. I'm not paying him crazy money. He wants to stay on the Giants for a contract that works both ways, but like he shouldn't be expecting some crazy money.
Right. I'd honestly rather Dane Belton start over him with Xavier McKinney, but like if Julian Love stays, I'll be happy with that. I mean, like I think Dane Belton has proved to be like the number one strong safety on the team.
And then also we posted a little something on OBJ. The Giants attended his workout or are attending his workout in Arizona with 3 other teams, and that could be interesting. OBJ back to the Giants. I don't know. It'd be something special, if the Giants made a serious playoff run with him, give him like a nice 1-year deal. I don't know, Matthew. Would you like to see him back in blue?
Honestly, no. I mean, like, I don't.
I have to agree with you on that. Like, all these things, overrated.
Yeah.
He tore his ACL twice. His explosiveness, even when he was playing 2 years, when he was playing with the Rams, you'd see he wasn't, when he was with the Giants, he was this little explosive guy. He just was untouchable. He was different with the Rams. His whole dynamic was different. He wasn't that player that we know and love. So I just think he's not the same player after those injuries. I don't think he could move like that. And I think paying him all this money just to put him back in blue and get ticket prices up isn't worth it.
Yeah, I think like that would be ridiculous I don't think it's a good move to sign him. Also, like he's like with the plane incident, I don't really want someone like that on the Giants.
Yeah, and that's the same thing we said about D-Hop. All those guys, it's like it's not that they have talent, but all those issues they've had off the field that we've seen it front with OBJ. Just I don't know if you really want to bring that back to New York, and it's something cool. It's back in the papers. OBJ back to New York possibly, but I don't see it really seriously. The Giants going for a run for it.
Right, it's probably not going to happen. There's better options out there.
Yeah, for sure. And then I know we wanted to touch on the tight end room a lot, so let's talk about this. In your tight end core right now, you got Lawrence Cager, Daniel Bellinger. Lawrence Cager, obviously, death kind of practice squad / player, but a big guy we got is Daniel Bellinger. He was out for a bulk of the season with an unfortunate eye injury, but when he played, he was effective. Had a touchdown in the wild card game against the Vikings. Matt, talk a little about Daniel Bellinger's skills.
Yeah, I think he's really surprised me like as a tight end. I didn't really think he was going to be nearly as good as he turned out to be. I mean, he scored his first touchdown week 2 versus Carolina. I was actually there.
Me too. And you know what I think the Giants need is like Evan Ingram. People liked him, people didn't. I didn't like him. I think he was more of a receiver, and I don't think he had that big tight end body. He dropped the ball, fumbles.
Yeah.
Wasn't the type of guy. But you look at Bellinger, he's just that big tight end. When you need 5 yards on third down, he has those hands. He's gonna haul it in. With Evan Ingram, yeah, he would sometimes get you 40 yards downfield, but when he needed those clutch catches, he dropped them. So I think Bellinger is more of that sure, big tight end kind of character, and I think that's what they need. What about you, Matthew?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a step up from Evan Ingram. I think Kyle Rudolph was actually like solid. It's just that he
was old.
Yeah, he was old, and like his best days were behind him, and also he was injured a lot last year. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So let's. Would you add to this? I saw Mike Gesicki rumors, a guy like him. That'd be great to have, because I guess the difference between Bellinger and Gesicki is Gesicki has more of the wheels. But what's your decision, Matt? Do you add to this tight end core?
I would add one more tight end next to Daniel Bellinger, either Dalton Schultz.
I would say via draft route.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good tight ends in the draft.
Yeah, we could do that. But we'll see. Tunyan's another guy that's on my radar, and also Gesicki, like you just mentioned.
I think continuing with the draft, you have the Giants receive 2 more picks The NFL generates them to, like, if you lose value, like the Giants released high-profile guys like Kadarius Toney, Evan Ingram, so they received more. They're up to 11 picks, and you have a fifth and a seventh. You could snag a guy like a tight end in those later rounds, and like Bellinger did, he can be talented. You put him in second in the depth chart. Having two good tight ends is never a bad thing. So I know we want to talk a little about the cornerback room, Matt. I've seen a lot of rumors of guys the Giants could bring in. Who do you want them to sign quarterback wise, or via draft?
All right, so yeah, there are a lot of good corners in free agency. That's probably like one of the strongest positions in free agency this year, and also in the draft, there's a lot of good corners. I say we talked about free agency.
Yeah.
So some of the top names, I'm not gonna rank any of these guys or say like how likely it is the Giants are gonna get them. But I would say like the top free agent corners on the market are Marcus Peters, James Bradbury, Bradley Roby. Who else is there?
Darius Slay.
Yes. Wait. Yeah. He's the rumored to be traded.
Yeah, he's about to get traded. You see that?
Yes.
We got rid of Bradbury. We take Slay from them. How about that?
We're not going to make a trade with the Eagles, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Jonathan Jones is another guy. But we'll see what happens.
There's a lot of talent in the cornerback room, and looking at what the Giants have, they have a lot of restructuring to do because guys like Leonard Williams, Adoree Jackson, injuries, underperformance, even Dexter Lawrence, they're all going to be reconstructing their contracts. Joe Shane already said it. Guys like them, don't get me wrong, all three of them, they're the backbone of our defense. We need them on the field. They're talented. We don't want to get rid of them, but Leonard Williams is getting paid a lot of money for just, stat-wise, not a great year, injuries. And then you look at the Adoree Jackson injuries. Dexter Lawrence, great season, but, you could renegotiate with him, get a contract that works less against the cap, save some more money. What do you think about that, Matthew?
I think that would be good to do. I think if we can restructure Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Adoree Jackson, also, like next year, Xavier McKinney's a free agent, and Andrew Thomas.
Andrew Thomas, right. The fifth-year option window opens in a few weeks, so yes. We should expect them to do that. That obviously be the right move.
Right, throw the bag at Andrew Thomas, but we'll see what happens.
I also agree, Andrew Thomas is one of those left tackles, like, I'm giving him a long-term deal in 2 years. After the fifth-year option, I'm giving him like an 8-year deal. I think he's the future of our left tackle.
He is.
I think he's a year or two out of being the best left tackle in the league. Like, I think he'll hit that rank pretty soon.
Yeah. I agree. Also,
left tackle is probably, besides quarterback, they say the most important position on the football field. It's the quarterback's blind side. You want the quarterback to be comfortable when he's in the pocket, and Andrew Thomas is a big reason why Daniel Jones has been more comfortable in the pocket. He doesn't look as scared. When you have Andrew Thomas, you got Evan Neal on the right side. Once those guys both develop into better football players, I think that offense line on the outside is great. What about inside, Matt? Any, guards obviously an interest for the Giants. Any decisions on that?
I say I like Ben Bredesen. I think he should be the starting right guard next year.
Me too. I think injuries kept him out, and I think Nick Gates sucks, and he's just there because he's been on the team for a long time. But I think out with the new, out with the old. Say goodbye, Nick Gates.
Right.
I think he's undersized and he just can't block, and he gets a ton of penalties.
Yeah. I want to talk about the corners in the draft this year since we talked about free agent corners. But, if we do sign one corner in free agency, I think that would be most likely, possibly even Marcus Peters. You might call me crazy for that.
I've seen those all over.
He's been in Martindale's system. He knows him pretty well. So, I think getting him in the defense, I think that would be huge. But, also, last episode, I know we talked about Bradbury coming back to the Giants. Do I see that happening? Most likely not. But if he's willing to come back for, not, a ridiculous amount of money, I say we do it.
I would take him too, yeah. But realistically, I don't see him. And I think the Giants, they're going to have a decent amount of cap. Once you get Galladay next year, they're going to have a lot of dead cap through Jones. Galladay will have a dead cap. So they're going to have dead cap next year.
Yeah.
So let's go out and get players this year. Let's make some moves. Let's put together a team. Let's not give a guy 1 year's deal. Let's give a guy some 2 to 3 years, some high-profile players, and let's make a run at this. This is what I'm saying. I think the Giants have the right staff, and I think they're a few players away from seriously making the run in the playoffs, and I think this is the time to do it. What about you, Matthew?
I agree. But yeah, I think the top corners in this draft this year are easily no ranking. Um, Joey Porter Jr., Christian
Yeah,
Gonzalez, Devin Witherspoon, Keely Ringo. Um, who else? Oh yeah, Cam Smith. There's like a lot of names that really
yeah.
stick out to me.
There's a lot of good corners. Corners is another thing I like to say is that's a later round pick. I wouldn't take a cornerback first even 3 rounds. I think they're perfect, like fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and a lot of them end up on the field. Like Darnay Holmes was a later round pick, and he was a starter all year, pretty much our number one corner at some points due to injuries. So that's just an example.
Right. I also want to talk about. Here's the thing: if the Giants, whatever they don't do in free agency, like whatever they've put the least focus into in free agency, or like via trade, we draft in the first round. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I say like honestly in the middle linebacker department is where I'm going because I think free agency wise you're not going to get what you want. I just don't think your Giants are going to be able to land a high profile middle linebacker, and I think a receiver you could get a really talented one in the second and third round. And I think, I definitely bring back a guy like Darius Slayton. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think you take a guy like Trenton Simpson, who is an absolute animal, one of the best linebackers in the draft. And people don't even know his name. We posted clips on him, and he could hit hard, and he could cover too. And going on to that Darius Slayton thing, you know, Darius Slayton's played 4 seasons with the Giants. Last year, they didn't even play him. This year, he didn't start the first game. In the 3 years he started, he's had over 700 yards in each season. Now, people are like, oh, that's not great. No, but that's middle of the road average. And you know what you need sometimes? You need an average receiver. You need consistency. He's been consistent. He's been pretty injury free in his career. And I think he's definitely a guy we got to bring back because I think he's been Daniel Jones' one of favorite targets like his whole career. He's made big plays in New York, and you need him back. I think he's been consistent for you. I'm bringing him back. I don't care. He's dropped balls. Everyone drops balls. He's been consistent when they needed him.
It happens to the best of the receivers in the NFL.
And his drop did not cost us the game.
Thankfully.
And I think he's just consistent. And, we look at a receiver core like Wanda Robinson, Isaiah Hodgins. Don't get me wrong, they were good last year, but we have no idea what they're going to be like next year. They could be great. They could like suck. So I think bringing back a guy like Darius Slayton, you know what you're getting. He's going to be that big time player for you.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Getting Slayton back would be not a bad idea. We could do it, but I do think he's been good though. Also, do I have to mention that catch he made on Thanksgiving versus Dallas?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was one of the best catches in the league, and people don't even know about it.
It was.
I'll say even a better throw by Jones. Great throw.
Yeah.
I think we hit most of the topics we don't want to talk about today. Any closing statements, Matthew?
Yeah, I think this draft is going to be really key for the Giants to pick up.
I was just reading something, Matthew. I think it's going to. People are saying there's talent loaded in this free agency and draft class.
I absolutely agree.
Be interesting. And I think we're your number one source for draft information, for agency information. We post it first. If you look at our page, we'll have all those alerts posted first. So you just keep on checking it out. We'll give you the alerts. Go Big Blue. Anything, Matthew?
I don't think this free agency is going to be as crazy as last year's because last year's it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, but I think it's talented, and I think the Giants are going to pull some players away, and we'll make sure to post about every single one of them.
We will.
From me and Matthew, go Big Blue. We'll see you later.
Go Giants.